recently won an all-expense-paid trip to Disney World for 4 nights, for myself and 3 guests. I am currently planning on bringing my boyfriend, my mother, and my boyfriend's mother. I know we all aren't exactly Disney's key demographic, but it honestly means a lot to our mothers that I am inviting them. Both my boyfriend and I grew up in poorer families that could never afford expensive vacations. And this is the first trip to Disney World for all of us. I know this is probably the only opportunity our mothers will ever have to go to Disney. And for now they are both in good enough health to still enjoy the rides. The problem is with my cousin, Jane, who has been hounding me to take her 5-year-old daughter, Kelly, instead of my boyfriend's mother. I know, what kind of monster am I for not wanting to bring a little girl to the place where dreams come true? Except Jane's family has already been to Disney World twice, most recently earlier this year in February. My cousin has done very well for herself. She runs a successful photography business, and her husband is an engineer. They are definitely able to afford their own vacations. If Jane wasn't so well off, I probably would consider taking Kelly if I thought I was giving a little kid a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But I'm not. She's already been twice and she's only 5. Our mothers have been 0 times. Jane's only rationale for wanting me to take her daughter seems to be that Disney is meant for kids. It's weird to go with only adults. And it'd be evil to not take a 5-year-old to Disney if you had the chance. There's also the issue of Kelly herself. She's not a completely terrible child, but she's whiny and throws tantrums regularly. I don't really want to spend a week with that. Also, what if she gets homesick? What if she gets actually sick? What if she gets lost? I'm not a parent myself and I would have no idea what to do in those situations. I also don't want to saddle my mother with the responsibility of caring for her. I babysat Kelly before, but only for a few hours at a time. I'm not sure why my cousin is even comfortable with the idea of me taking her child 3 states away. We are in North Carolina, so it's not like Orlando is just a short drive down the road if something happens. I tried telling Jane I'm not comfortable bringing Kelly, and she just said this is a good opportunity to find out what being a parent is like. What? She's almost acting like I'm not serious about not bringing Kelly, and I'm just pretending I don't want to bring her. It's really weird. Jane and I have always been very close, like we are sisters. And I'm afraid this has the potential to ruin our relationship once it comes to a head. What is the best way to tell her no without sounding like an evil child hater, or am I being selfish for not taking a kid to Disney? I, 29F, dated a guy Joe, 30M, for 3 months before he left me to go back to his ex Kim, 30F. Right after we broke up I found out I was pregnant and now I'm at 24 weeks. I let him know and he was ecstatic. Turns out his girlfriend had fertility issues and would likely never be able to get pregnant naturally, and he has always wanted to be a father. Getting back together was out of the question for both of us, so he's still with his girlfriend. Joe was only allowed at the initial appointment because of COVID-19 and we found out I was having twins. According to Joe, when he told Kim she had a mental breakdown about her infertility and wanted to talk to me. I met them at their house and Kim stated that she wanted to be involved in my pregnancy because she would eventually be the children's stepmother. She started telling me that I needed to do a home birth, that I needed to formula feed so that they could have the babies half of the week, that she wanted 1 boy and 1 girl, and that she wanted the kid to call her mama since they would be calling me mommy. I shut her down and said I would make the best choices for my children and my body and left. Kim continued to be overbearing and texting me every day about my eating habits, exercise habits, and ing about how her job wouldn't let her take maternity leave. At the virtual genetics counseling appointment, she attended instead of Joe and took over the whole meeting trying to talk about her family history, which wasn't relevant. When it came time for my 20-week level 2 scan, they allowed me 1 guest and Joe suggested I take Kim instead of him, which I refused to do. Joe did end up coming and he found out the gender because I wanted to keep it a surprise for me so we could throw a gender reveal party. I put a pregnancy announcement on my social media and then she put up an announcement saying they were expecting twins, the non-traditional way, and how blessed she was. I was irritated but I kept my mouth shut. Then she threw a gender reveal party and posted it on social media. I wasn't even invited. She also announced that she's having a baby shower. I commented on her posts and told her to stop treating me like a surrogate, that the kids weren't hers, and that Joe didn't have any claim or custody of the kids until they are born. I then called Joe and reiterated all of this and stated that I would not be seeing either of them until we went to family court, and that my mother would be my birthing partner. He and Kim and some of her friends and family are saying I'm an asshole, and her mother even called and insisted I give her one of my babies. Like, this is the parent trap? I'm definitely getting a lawyer ASAP. Y'all have scared the shit out of me, but I'm happy you did. We used condoms because I do not react well to hormonal birth control, and I had to wait to get a non-hormonal IUD because of other medical issues. The Thursday I posted this, I went to the police and they stated that there was nothing they could do because a crime hadn't been committed. In my state, orders of protection are criminal or family, so I was able to get one against Joe. On Friday, I did get a lawyer and they let me know in my state there was nothing I could do as far as custody before the babies are born. So I will be leaving my state soon to ensure that this isn't my baby's home state and I can't be charged with anything. Kim came to my job, damaged my car, and broke a bunch of office windows. I work with kids, so she was arrested for not just the criminal damage and trespassing but also child endangerment, so hopefully that works in my favor. Also, if Joe did it on purpose, I don't think Kim knew, because she was screaming at me about how I stole her life and everything I had was supposed to be hers. I have orders of protection against both Kim and Joe. I left the state anyway, and Joe and Kim started harassing me again because there's no legal jurisdiction when you leave the state. But I have enough evidence that I was able to press charges in my current state as well, and will be pursuing a restraining order here. Me and Sil, Daisy, have been friends since high school, 15 years ago. I started dating her brother, Dan, when we were all in college. Daisy married Matt sometime after I married Dan 10 years ago. Matt and Daisy wanted a baby and starting trying right after marriage, but they were having a lot of trouble. I am talking multiple failed IVFs, multiple late-term miscarriages, one of which was a stillbirth. The struggle went on for 7 years. I have helped her immensely through everything, financially and emotionally. Matt is unsympathetic sometimes. He behaves as if it's a batch of bad cookies and immediately guilts her into trying again. So, it always was up me and Dan to take care of her. Despite many talks from me and Dan, she remained married to him and kept trying again and again. We have had many offers to leave the state / country for a better job, but didn't because we were scared to leave her alone. 3 years ago, I got pregnant. We broke the news gently to Daisy one day. She got real quiet and then asked us to leave. Later, she sent me an email saying she doesn't want to see me or Dan anymore and that this is all too much. We tried to console her but didn't work, so gave her space. 2 weeks before I was supposed to give birth, Dan passed away in an accident. I don't have any family except for Dan and Daisy. Daisy refused to attend the funeral because she will have to see me the day before the funeral, and I called her and begged her to come. I didn't think that I would be able to go through that without her. She hung up on me and didn't attend the service. Soon after that, I gave birth and I decided to move to another state. I cut off all contact with Daisy and started fresh. Now, me and my daughter are very happy and we are enjoying a comfortable life. She attempted to contact me once I moved away, but I ignored her. 2 weeks ago, she called from an unknown number and said she desperately wanted to talk to me. Turns out she finally got pregnant, had a baby boy who passed away 5 days after being born in NICU. Matt is also leaving her and screwed her over because of the prenup. She is basically broke and homeless days after losing a child. I just said okay. She then asked, "Are you really not going to say anything? You are really not going to help?" I pretty much said, "I don't care about you. I don't care about your life. I don't care about Matt. I don't care that your baby died. Just leave me and my daughter alone." And then hung up. Since then she has been sending me multiple emails and VMs stating how awful I am and how heartless and how much Dan would be disappointed. I continue to just ignore everything. I am not going to have any sympathy or help her in any way. I live with my parents and my brother. It's always been a dream of my parents to adopt me and bro, our bio kids. And they had come to the decision that they want to adopt an older kid. They got matched with Jess, who is 13. Due to the current situation, she is not living with us, but we've met before and she spent a weekend with us in January. Jess, despite sometimes being sweet and kind, is very high maintenance and has a lot of anxiety and anger problems. She can go from 0 to 1,000 really quick. During her stay, she got triggered by something when we were in public. She and I went to a clothes shop and my parents were in a cafe nearby. Some guy accidentally grabbed her by her shoulder as he thought she was his daughter, and he apologized immediately and started screaming. I was the only person there, and I tried to calm her down, but she ran off. She was found, shaken, but safe, an hour later. I then got grounded as I had failed in being responsible for my sister. I said I didn't have a sister. My parents were angry about this and said that how dare I be rude about her, don't I know how much she's been through? She's had other outbursts, but none so huge in public. She can be cold and untrusting and was very clingy to my parents. I do admire her and think she's very brave, but I don't want to live with her. My parents call Jess often. I often say hi and try to be civil and supportive. But it seems like the only thing my parents can talk about is Jess and how brave she is, and she isn't even here yet. We live in a 3-bedroom house, and my parents promised to move to a bigger one later this year. Recently, my parents broke the news to me that Jess will move into my room, and I can pick whether I want to share a room with Bro or Jess. I don't want to share with either. My brother is messy, loud, and is your average 9-year-old boy, and Jess has night terrors and screams the house down. And it's enough having to open my house to her, but I value my privacy a lot and don't want her in my room, which is like my special place. I was crushed. I asked if we were still moving, and my parents were like, we like this place and have no solid plan. I freaked out and was like, you guys are forgetting you have another daughter and are too excited about the shiny new one to remember that the one you have has feelings and boundaries, and if you're changing everything I've ever known, at least I deserve to be listened to. If this is how life's going to be, I don't want to have a sister. Good to note, my room is big enough to have a wall put in, and my parents considered it a few years back. I would be happy with that. They refuse, even though we can easily afford it, because it is too much effort. My parents are offended that I'm not being welcoming towards my sister. And I'm offended that the life I knew is going to be turned upside down, and I'm not going to have the thing I value most, my privacy.